And when one man's rights are stripped, every single Oregonian's rights are at risk.
That's U.S. Representative Maxine Dexter, fresh off a flight from El Salvador, where she spent 48 hours demanding Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return. Dexter usually represents Oregon, but she took her fight beyond American borders to advocate for the rights of Abrego Garcia. She says this case goes beyond one wrongly deported man, accusing the Trump administration of removing people who still have constitutional protections, then sending them to countries where the U.S. has no legal jurisdiction and they eventually disappear.
I am here to vouch for every American citizen's right, as well as anyone within our borders' right to due process.
Trump officials called Abrego Garcia's case an administrative error, but are unable to return the 29-year-old back to the U.S. The delegation went through the U.S. Embassy in El Salvador to determine Abrego Garcia's location after he was moved from the country's maximum security prison. They met with family, attorneys, and human rights advocates with the hope of seeing Abrego Garcia.
We don't know. There's been no contact with him by his attorneys or his family since Senator Van Hollen saw him last Thursday. His family is deeply concerned about his health and safety.
Dexter was joined on the trip by 3 other Democratic representatives from California, Arizona, and Florida. Although immediate results weren't felt from the trip, Dexter says keeping Abrego Garcia's name in the media is also turning up the pressure against White House officials.
The point was to continue to raise the question about why the Trump administration is not taking action to facilitate his return in accordance with the Supreme Court ruling.
Abrego Garcia came to the U.S. illegally more than a decade ago and in 2019 sought asylum, claiming he feared gang persecution in El Salvador. A court prevented his deportation, citing protections in place because he had a well-founded fear. Since then, he had been checking in with ICE every year and held a work permit from Homeland Security. The administration released information to the court suggesting he was linked to MS-13, a gang recently designated a terrorist organization, but documents proving his connection have not been submitted. Reports also revealed a former partner filed a restraining order against Abrego Garcia, accusing him of domestic abuse.
And we have sent him back to a place where the government, the courts had previously decided it was too unsafe to send him. And that is fundamentally what he and his brother fled El Salvador because of gang violence, and now he is there with no protection.
The group sent a letter on April 21st to Secretary of State Marco Rubio outlining 3 demands: proof of his life to ensure his human rights are being met, access to legal representation, and the most pressing, his return to the U.S. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court upheld part of the lower court's decision to release Abrego Garcia, stating his removal to El Salvador was illegal. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Kaylee Carey. For more fact-based, unbiased stories, download the Straight Arrow News mobile app.